Ashton didn't just ask once. He kept asking. He kept pushing. And Demi, desperate to save their marriage after a devastating miscarriage, gave him what he wanted. But that's not where the pressure ended. It was just the beginning. Rob Schneider has been screaming this for years. There's a system, and Ashton Kutcher wasn't just in it. He was using it. He was moving through it, and he was pulling Demi deeper into circles that were designed to break people.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited. You invited me?
This single moment, this one rejection on national television. This is what happens when someone refuses to play the game. But Demi didn't say no. Not publicly. Not when it mattered. And by the time she tried to escape, the damage was already done. This is the story Rob Schneider has been connecting for years. This is what really happened to Demi Moore. When Demi Moore met Ashton Kutcher at that New York premiere in 2003, it looked like a fairy tale. She was 40, healing from her divorce from Bruce Willis. He was 25, charming, promising her the world. The media went insane over the 15-year age gap. Late-night comedians made it the joke of the decade, but nobody was asking the real question. Why was a 25-year-old man who'd already been connected to Hollywood's darker circles so interested in a vulnerable 40-year-old woman who was desperate for love? 8 hours on the first day. That's not romance, that's love bombing. That's someone who knows exactly how to get inside someone's head and make them believe they've found their soulmate. Ashton was already operating like someone who understood the game. He knew what Demi needed to hear. He knew what vulnerable women respond to. Within 3 weeks, he'd already met her daughters and her ex-husband. Within 2 months, he'd proposed with a $250,000 ring on a romantic beach setup in Santa Barbara. But here's what Demi didn't know at the time. Ashton Kutcher was already part of a network. He was already connected to people like Diddy. And by 2003, those connections were becoming darker. They became inseparable. They became a brand. They became untouchable. And 6 months into their relationship, Demi became pregnant. On September 23, 2003, Demi went to a routine checkup. She was 41 years old, 6 months pregnant, and she believed her life was finally perfect. The baby had no heartbeat. Her name was going to be Chaplain Ray. Instead, she died inside Demi. And in that moment, something broke in Demi that would take decades to repair. Demi wasn't just grieving. She was destroying herself with guilt. She was drinking. She was smoking. She was spiraling. And Ashton wasn't there for her in the way she needed. In her memoir, Demi revealed something crucial. Ashton didn't understand her pain. He couldn't connect with what she was feeling. This emotional distance only grew. And to fix it, to save their marriage, they did something that would mark a turning point in Demi's breakdown. This is where the system starts to show its teeth. Ashton didn't just ask once. He kept pushing. And Demi, traumatized by the loss of her baby, desperate to keep her marriage together, kept saying yes to things that violated her boundaries. This is what happens when power imbalances exist inside intimate relationships. This is what happens when someone uses emotional leverage and guilt to break down another person's sense of self. But it gets worse. By 2011, their marriage was deteriorating. Ashton was becoming more controlling. He was becoming more distant, and he was starting to involve himself in a world that was actively predatory. On September 24th, 2011, their 6th wedding anniversary, Ashton allegedly spent the night with a 22-year-old woman named Sarah Lau. Demi found out through a Google alert while getting ready for a red carpet event. And when she confronted him, Ashton admitted it. But the betrayal ran deeper than one affair. Wait, stop there. Listen to what Ashton said. He blamed the threesomes. He said they blurred the lines. He weaponized her grief, her trauma, her desperate attempt to save their marriage, and threw it back in her face as justification for cheating. This is psychological abuse, and it's coming from someone who is already embedded in a network that specialized in this exact tactic. Rob Schneider has documented this pattern for years, the way powerful men use the system to gain access to vulnerable people and then use that access to break them psychologically. Ashton wasn't young and desperate, but Demi was. After the miscarriage, after losing her sense of identity as a mother, she was desperate, she was vulnerable, and Ashton exploited that. The cheating wasn't the end. The cheating was the catalyst. Because after the affair became public, after Demi had to stand next to Ashton at a red carpet event for their foundation against human trafficking, just days after finding out he'd betrayed her, something shattered inside. On November 17, 2011, she announced their separation. By 2013, it was finalized. But Demi wasn't free. Not emotionally, not physically, not psychologically. What happened next is what nobody talks about in connection to Ashton and this network. Demi Moore, who had been sober for almost 20 years, completely relapsed. She started taking up to 12 Vicodin pills every day. She was drinking Red Bull mixed with vodka constantly. She was smoking synthetic cannabis. She was inhaling nitrous oxide at parties. On January 23, 2012, during a party at her house in Benedict Canyon, Demi had a seizure. Her weight dropped to 98 pounds. She was barely eating. She was completely isolated. She was having constant seizures. And during all of this, during her complete psychological and physical breakdown, breakdown, Ashton was rebuilding his image. He was moving on. He was dating other women. He was acting like none of it happened. And he was continuing to operate within the same network that had already started showing its true colors. But the worst part, the absolute worst part, Demi's 3 daughters stopped talking to her entirely for 3 years. Her daughters were terrified of her. Tallulah, who was just 25, said it felt like her mom became a different person, like a monster. She developed an eating disorder from the stress. Rumor, who was 31, was angry and heartbroken. Scout felt abandoned and believed her mom didn't love her. This is what people don't understand about trauma systems. It doesn't just affect the victim, it ripples outward, it destroys families, it destroys children, it creates generational pain, and Ashton Kutcher walked away with his reputation intact. Here's what Rob Schneider has been trying to tell us. Ashton Kutcher wasn't just a cheater. He wasn't just a man who broke Demi's heart. He was part of a larger system, a system where powerful men use their influence to gain access to vulnerable people, a system where gatekeepers, friendly faces, trusted figures make introductions to dangerous circles, a system where once you're in, saying no becomes impossible. Ellen was one kind of gatekeeper, but Ashton was different. He was inside the system. He was part of it.
It'd go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel. You know?
And then it will carry on.
9:30 p.m. to 3 a.m., multiple floors of hotels, carrying on after the first party ends. These weren't regular Hollywood parties. Everyone at that table knew what was happening. The threesomes she participated in to save their marriage left her feeling ashamed and powerless, and the betrayal with multiple women showed her that she'd been manipulated the entire time. This is the system. This is how it works. Ashton wasn't just a romantic partner. He was someone with power, influence, and access to dangerous circles. And Demi, after losing her baby and struggling with her sense of identity, was exactly the kind of vulnerable person these systems target. When she said no, when she finally left him, the consequences were swift. Her addiction spiral, her family estrangement, her complete psychological breakdown. These weren't random. These were the consequences of trying to escape a system designed to keep you trapped. It took Demi Moore nearly a decade to recover. She went to rehab, she fought her addiction, she rebuilt her relationship with her daughters. In 2015, Tallulah, the youngest, reached out first. It was the beginning of healing, but the psychological damage from Ashton's manipulation, from her exposure to these circles, from the trauma of the miscarriage and the aftermath, left permanent scars. In 2019, on Red Table Talk, Demi talked openly about what those years had cost her. She didn't name Ashton directly as the cause of her breakdown. She didn't publicly expose the system he was part of. She was still protecting him, even after everything. But the evidence is there. The timeline is there. The pattern that Rob Schneider has been documenting is there. Ashton Kutcher married Demi Moore when she was vulnerable. He used psychological manipulation to break her boundaries. He exposed her to practices designed to normalize coercion. He betrayed her repeatedly, and when she finally tried to escape, the collapse was catastrophic. This is what survival looks like. This is what it takes to escape a system designed to keep you broken. Demi Moore spent years rebuilding herself. She went from 98 pounds and semi-conscious on her bathroom floor to a 62-year-old woman who understands her worth and refuses to compromise it for anyone. Dakota Johnson said no on Ellen's show, and it exposed the entire apparatus. Demi Moore said yes to everything, and it exposed the mechanism. Both are necessary. Both are crucial. And Rob Schneider was right all along. This is how networks of abuse operate. This is how powerful men maintain control. And this is how we finally start to see them for what they are: